boys and girls, would you please strap in, sit down, shut up, and get ready to ride this ride. How you guys doing? Happy, what's today?
Tuesday.
Tuesday evening.
As always.
As always. It's the same thing. How you guys doing? Everybody good?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. Just kind of before we really dive into this, I'm like brain fogged. I'm crashed. I'm tired.
Brian's falling apart.
I'm falling apart today. So we're gonna be stumbling, mumbling, jumbling around, but we're gonna make it through tonight's live stream because we got some things that I've been wanting to discuss for quite some time. So I'm excited to get into tonight's live stream. Don't know how long we're gonna be going into it, but how are you guys doing this Tuesday evening, March the 19th? March the 19th. We're past the halfway mark for March already. March is kind of moving along,
Crazy.
which means that something must be looming in the air. And that is something official. The word official is what should be coming soon. An official announcement from Halloween Horror Nights. We're sitting tight. We're waiting. We know something at some point should be happening soon. Something
between now and September.
October, hopefully. But yeah, we should be having something very soon in the terms of an official statement. And the reason being is because if you look back at the past few years, tends to be around March to April is when we do get something from Halloween Horror Nights. But I hope you guys are doing good this Tuesday evening. Stephanie, how are you doing?
I'm good.
Had a good time? I feel like I've only seen you for 10 minutes today.
On Tuesdays, we always Brian gets home from work and then we set this up and start going at it.
We got up at 7 a.m., left the door, went to work, and then just got back in time to scarf food down and be like, all right, hey, hi, how you guys doing? How's everybody? Oh, hello. I love you. Nice to see you.
You too.
Missed you. A little dog of ours. But yeah, we're doing good. We're busy. We're rocking and rolling. Hope you guys are good. Tonight's live stream talking about logistics and layouts. We were supposed to be talking about this last year. See, there it is. The first mumble of the day. Last week. What is a week? What is a year? Last
Feels
week.
like last year.
It does feel like last year, to be honest. And instead of talking about that, which was based on a video that we recently posted, we kind of got an announcement from HN Nightmare saying, hey, we got a spec map ready for y'all. So we went ahead and changed plans, started talking about that instead, focused last week live stream on that. And this week we decided instead of waiting for next week to do a live stream, we'll just do one this week.
Yeah.
So we're here live in La Casa de la Fright Club, going to be talking about logistics and layouts. If you guys haven't seen the video already, it's our last one. The big changes when you come into Halloween Horror Nights. That is what today's focus is really going to be on. So if you haven't seen it, it's okay. We're going to be kind of recapping that video in a way and breaking down those 5 main sections that we talked about, as well as some other things, really diving deep and stuff. And we'll kind of explain some things that we kind of want to see, hope to see, maybe think we will see as well. You know me, I'm always going to be like, don't do this, please, no, and all that stuff. And then
I feel like this whole conversation makes me kind of sad because I don't want anything to change. You can ask Brian. I get very stuck in my ways, routine. And there's any changes and I'm like, oh, I don't like this. So when there's changes to the event, when we don't have last year, the
talking about Minion Land, yeah.
That bummed me out so much. And I know we'll get used to how it is now, but it just hurts my heart to see those changes and I don't know, get used to how something is and then have it not be that way this year. I'm oh.
That is, and if you guys remember last year's theme that we had for the channel last year with Halloween Horror Nights was logistics and layouts for what was going to happen with HHN, the way it was going to look. This year, like we said, it's fork in the road. And this video is really going to be diving into why we have that theme for this year, a fork in the road. We're going to be diving into it. I don't know how long we're going to be live. It depends. I feel like I've been hit by a couple of buses and then dropped out of a plane. So we'll try to go as long as we can for you guys tonight. We'll do our best. But I really want to make sure that we get the key points out there at least. And if not, then we'll talk about future live streams, possibly next week, maybe. Questionable, don't know. But we do plan, if we don't get a live stream for you guys next week, we'll probably do 2 to 3 videos or so, kind of pump some things out there for you guys to see, and then we'll schedule a live stream later on at some point, sometime, whenever we feel like it. And that's it. So I do want to make this quick announcement real quick. As you guys may already know, the official Fright Club shop is now open. If you guys want to go check out our merch that we have, like these 2 incredible posters, our merchandise that we did not create. This is not ours. We didn't wear it. We should have worn it, but
we do have some shirts.
Yeah, some shirts,
hats,
some hoodies, some things like that. If you guys want to check it out, all purchases do help us be able to sit here and talk. That's what it does. So, but check it out. Helps us out there. www.frightclubshop.com. It's also in the description down below. All right.
Is that all the housekeeping?
I'm going to put this out there as a warning for you all. I might be talking a lot in this episode. This is one of these.
I'll just monitor comments and I might interrupt you.
Yeah. The typical live stream.
Yeah.
But and please do so if you have to. But this is one of those live streams where I feel like, all right, strap in. I have a lot to say. I have a lot to talk about. This is stuff I've been holding on to for months, it feels like now, and so I can finally get it off my chest and just kind of lead my way through it and give you guys some things to just keep an eye out. So just a heads up, if you feel like I'm talking a lot, leave. See you. Goodbye. So as we go into it, the first thing that we want to address, and really you kind of touched on it a little bit, was the Minion Land, talking about that and saying, you think we'll get used to the way it is now. But I do want to start off by kind of talking about how it is kind of weird that if you think about Horror Nights the way it was 5 years ago, I mean, even when we were first going, the way that it looked, the way that it operated has really changed in a drastic way, but in a way that you couldn't notice from year to year. You look back at it 5 years, you're like, oh my gosh, yeah. Like it feels like it's completely changed and it looks completely different.
Little changes each year.
Exactly. And there was these little tweaks here and there. And this year I feel like is going to have some of the most significant changes and impacts to just, and it really may not be anything that is a problem at all for the event. I really don't think it is going to be a problem. It's just going to change the way it runs, the way it looks. Yeah. Things that you may, hey, back in 2015, 2018, I remember when we had this here and we used to be able to do this and we had to go through this. Now this time it's, it's like the new generation, the way it's going to transform to be for the next 5 years or so. I think that's what we're kind of getting into. We're getting into that transition phase, especially as Universal expands and grows, because they have a lot of interesting things on the way for us. And I'm excited for that. But let's get to, I do have show notes somewhere. We do have a couple of things. I know I said the Minion Land area, that front entrance part, that's actually not really in our show notes. But I want to talk about that a little bit.
Well, because it's probably going to be the same. It's not necessarily a big change, because it'll probably be exactly the way it was last year.
Exactly. But I want to know, and maybe you could put this up in the poll. Actually, I'm just going to have you guys type it up in the chat. What do you guys think about last year when we had the scare zone, the front entrance scare zone? Do you guys prefer it to be where it was last year, in that front section right away as you walk in and it kind of extends into Hollywood? Or did you like the older way 2 years ago? The older way, back in the old days, I remember it was right there, where the current Minion Land is. Do you guys prefer it in that location? Spam 1 in the chat if you guys like the older way back in Minion Land, and spam 2 in the chat if you guys like this newer version of it going towards Hollywood. I'd love to know what you guys think, because I think you may agree with me on this, I vote 1. I'm going with the older way.
I agree, but I also it's probably always going to be this way, but for that scare zone, no matter what location it's in, I feel like looking back at every scare zone that's been in that location, whether it's, up in the front or a little bit further back, it's never really been the best scare zone of the year.
I mean, it's kind of have a disadvantage.
Exactly.
Due to the other ones.
Regardless if it's up closer or further back, it does have a little bit of a disadvantage. I feel like further back, you got a much smaller space. I almost would prefer, and I know this isn't possible, but I almost would prefer it to extend from the very front all the way to the very back and just be a much larger
I like that. No, I like that. I like it.
Because I do like having, the one thing that I think is tough about that front section is it's almost like you walk into the park and immediately it's like you're looking straight up because
the way that they have the sign set up there, the little catwalk for Oddfellow there.
I think the sign looks better further back, but I don't dislike having scare actors up there.
Just, and really like, just kind of on that time, and really this doesn't have to do with logistics or layout. This is just kind of more of what we want in a way. We'll really get into the nitty gritty soon. I've always said that we should, for all scare zones, extend the size of the scare zones. We talked about that for San Francisco. I feel like San Francisco is one of those that desperately needs that increase in size, as well as with the increase of size and increase in scare actors for San Francisco. New York, I think New York is good. I just feel like there are certain parts where New York is unbalanced. I feel like it could be balanced out a little bit better, in my opinion. But I just think that's just, like I said, it's our new transition into this very crowded generational phase that we have with Halloween Horror Nights, where there are certain like chokehold points that they have to make sure it's clear, that it's really hard to add to. I mean, if you guys remember back in 29, Halloween Horror Nights 29, I think we had Zombieland Double Tap in that scare zone for New York. And I think that's the year that they had those, what is it, the porta potties that they had, remember? Portable restrooms that had the like rolls on it in the side. Remember, those weren't like on that one road. They actually came out where the where like Jimmy Fallon was across that. Yeah,
it's not cart. It's like the permanent location.
Permanent stand. Yeah, permanent stand. But yeah, no, it just, there's little things like that, just little touches where I feel like we lose some things here and there. And I think it might be in the result because of just the logistics of things with how busy the event's gotten. So, I feel like we need to find a way to expand certain zones, like San Francisco. Hollywood, for some reason, it felt like Hollywood's gotten shorter as a scare zone. I feel like from its start to end point, depending on which way you're coming from, I feel like Hollywood's kind of downsized a little bit. And I feel like that should be spread out, because I even remember back to HHN 30 when we had lights, camera, action. If you guys remember that scare zone, great scare zone, loved it. I felt like it was bigger. I felt like it took more space than last year's. I don't even remember why, because I didn't really care for Dark Zodiac. I feel like Dark Zodiac's was a smaller scare zone, and I feel like Dark Zodiac just didn't have as much as like lights, camera, action did. And so it's like, I look at some things like that, I see some downsizing in certain areas that worries me for a little bit. Maybe it's because, lights, camera, action, they had a lot of reused things, so it's easier to fill it up, versus where Dark Zodiac, they made a lot of newer stuff for just that scare zone. Central Park, you can't do anything with Central Park. I think it is what it is. Just keep it that way. I like it. Just have it like that.
But that one, like, if they play into it being like with the trees and all of that, and it being smaller, I think it works.
No, I agree with you. Yeah.
But
like having it set to be a crowded type of theme in a way where you would feel like it's supposed to be small and tight, like Jungle of Doom. Loved Jungle of Doom. I love that scare zone because I felt like the aesthetics for it was perfect. When you're in a jungle, you're not supposed to feel like you have all this space around you. You're supposed to feel like it's on top of you. Twisted Traditions, Trick or Treat, they looked great because the usage of the trees and the pumpkins. And then you also had Scarecrow, which the fact that they put the barn in that scare zone is fantastic. That was such a cool usage of space that I've never seen before in that area.
It did make it feel a little bit smaller, but
yeah.
I mean, smaller than it already is. But
yeah, but it still added that element to fill that space, and it worked out because you were supposed to be like in a barn, you know. I think that worked out very well. And then, I mean, Gorewood was.
Yeah, we don't need to talk
We'll
about
just leave
that.
it at that. Gorewood was bleh. But it did its job in a sense of trying to make the space feel like it's not supposed to be open. So I really feel like the biggest parts, San Francisco could really use help. I don't know why they don't extend it a little bit more. I would love to look into the logistics of that and see as to why. And then
San
get
Francisco
back to what the original topic was, though. The Minion Land front entrance area. Looking back at y'all's, comments here, there's a lot more that I see that likes the older way than the newer way.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I just feel like because of Minion Land and Illuminations, when the theme parks, they change to IPs versus doing original things, they tend to lose control of their own. I'm going to use the word destiny. They lose control of their destiny, what they can do, because now they're pretty much sealed and confined to a contract that they don't have the ability to change. So that's why when we got Illuminations, the Minion Land that they did there, I was like, we're going to lose what made this place really special for this time of year. We're going to lose it because they wanted to do a contract. And so we're going to have to look at it now saying, all right, we know we're not going to get Minion Land anymore. Whatever. It sucks. But what we got is what we got. How can we improve on that? Because in my opinion, there is still a lot of chances to improve that front entrance area. We just find a way to use it and do that. I will say, when they added the Dr. Oddfellow, it wasn't really his, but the little traveling cart that he would stand on and put a little show on, I thought that was a unique and smart way to use that area, because they wanted it like a stage. It was off from the street, so you were able to have a crowd and still have traffic to be able to flow through. But it's just, those scare zones at the front, they're really just an introductory to the event. There's nothing big or anything like that. So it's unfair, obviously, when you go up against like New York or Hollywood that could really put some time into space and the usage and stuff. I'm bummed with what we have right now in the front. But I would really be interested to see what Universal and the creative team could come up with to really make this new location be better than what the old location was.
Yeah.
So I'm interested. If you guys, feel free, put in the chat whatever you guys think, if it would be some good enhancements, contributions to making that new location excel even more.
Yeah. I just feel like it kind of sucks when you walk in and there's all this stuff going on right there, and then you walk just a little bit further and it's just dead.
Done.
Like, I don't like that. But
I agree.
I feel like there's nothing they can do.
I will say, I personally love the Halloween Horror Nights sign. When that neon Halloween Horror Nights sign, I do love that. When it's that close up front, it's easier to see, obviously, when you're from the arches walking up. You brought a good point. Like, Horror Nights doesn't really, it starts when you're in City Walk. You got the music playing, you got the arches, of course. But when you get into the park officially, to have a sight line like that right above you and you walk through, because you get in and the first thing people are going to do, they're going to take a picture of it and they're going to keep moving. That's it. You don't see that sight line. You don't get that experience until you're leaving. And so when we had it the old way, back where Minion Land now stands, you were able to at least have another opportunity to cross that path again, to see that sign again. You used to have that ability with it being there.
That's what Erica said in the chat, was like, she liked being able to go under that sign whenever during the night, not just entering and leaving.
I agree.
And I know somebody mentioned, like, it'd be nice if they could at least put like some props or theming in that section, the Minion Land section, but I don't know that they're even allowed to.
No, they can't, because imagine,
like I'm going to use this as a reference, right? Imagine Minion Land was Disney, right? Imagine that was like one of Disney's little section that they own in the park. And Universal said, hey, we're going to put some scary skulls and dead bodies and stuff just right here, just for Halloween Horror Nights, for the event night. Of course, the being in a contract, you have to have two agreeing parties. The other party, Disney, Minion Land, whatever, they're not going to agree with that. They're going to be like, no, like we don't want that in our house in a way. So that's why it's like, you got something to say? Go ahead.
So it looks like someone asked if Illumination is not owned by Universal. It looks like they are, but I don't know if there's so much that goes into like
The legal side
legal
of it.
stuff. I don't know if like Illumination obviously is its own thing, even if it is owned by Universal. I don't know if Universal can necessarily come in and say like, no, we want to have HHN in this section. I don't know. Or maybe Universal themselves doesn't want to put HHN in that section because of the Minions.
Possibly. I don't see them doing that though. I don't see them saying like, oh, we need to not do it. I mean, for what reason? Because VillainCon wasn't open during the event. Neither was the other ride I don't know the name of.
Well, because it's kind of like that thing where, so in theme park entertainment, there's this thing called,
Ooh,
well, it's
we're getting an insider tip
kind of
here.
like double exposure, but not really. So with all of the IPs, like individually in Universal, there are certain characters that cannot be photographed with other characters.
That's
like
true.
they just,
that is true. Yes.
they're not supposed to be like in the same universe. And I think maybe that's what they don't want.
There's like a breach in that
somebody
contract.
with blood and like somebody creepy and all this
like
stuff.
hanging out with the minions. And
And not even like with minions all like, not even with it running and stuff, but it just being in the background. They might, I don't know. It might be like
it's interesting.
something that they don't want.
There was a comment too. Somebody said they left the lights on for minions during HHN opening night last year. Was it the Minion Land sign? And that's the thing too, because I wonder if things will change going forward due to the fact that, you know, Minion Land and VillainCon opened up right before Horror Nights, and Universal was really pushing for that. They were focused on that. So I wonder if we lost a little bit of HHN because of that push and that focus from Universal. So I wonder if this year will shift over for any reason.
And
I don't know.
maybe like there might be stuff we don't know. They might, maybe like they had planned it to be there. They had planned it not to be in that section just in case it wasn't done. And they still had it blocked off.
Yeah,
and then
possibly.
it got done in time. And then they were like, well, we don't have time to change
Yeah,
it.
it's like we've already set up for this. Just leave it.
So maybe this year is different. We don't
Possibly.
know.
And Javier even said, I hope this doesn't happen to Dreamworks Land as well.
And that's another thing that,
We will get to
yeah, we're going to talk
in
about.
tonight's live stream. Well, there's a lot to talk about. Which actually, we have a section that's called The Big One. That section, and if you guys remember the last the logistics layout video that we did a week or two ago, is somewhere in that time frame. One of the recent videos that we did. That the big one was DreamWorks Old Kidzone Land. It had to do with ET, the parade buildings, the new construction updates, the sprung tents. It's that whole section. Even I don't think we talked about it in the live stream or in the video, but Simpsons. That is also another thing in conversation too. So we'll be getting into that later because I want to save that one probably for last. That's the biggest one we got. So here's the hoping that we could get some improvements with that front entrance scare zone. I know, you know, they're looking at things. They're changing things around. They're going to figure it out. I just think I love the Halloween Horror Nights neon sign. I don't know if they're going to use it again this year. If they do, I wouldn't be surprised. A lot of people love it. It's a, you know, very photographic spot, you know, or photographed spot, I guess I could say, that a lot of people like to use. A lot of people post it on their socials. You know, Universal could see it. It's an easy post to have it. And maybe they want it like up front. So when people go in, the first thing they do is take a picture, boom, and they move forward. And then, you know, that's cluttered only for that reason.
Maybe, yeah.
But, you know, I personally like it further in the park to be more of a draw. Like, you know, yeah, we got in the park, it's Halloween Horror Nights, but you see, I want to go to that. That's that sightline visual that's really drawing you in, because once you pass that, there's nothing until you get all the way down into New York. And that's one thing when you're in the Minion Land and all that it didn't give. You only had the music, and if you're not entertained by the music, it's not going to hit you well. It's just crowds walking around. And even last year, you know, just not to try to make this segment a little bit longer, there were times last year when we were walking around the park during HHN where we were just like, it feels like something is needed here. And I'm not only talking about in that front section, I'm talking throughout the park. There are certain parts that just kind of feel like dead zones. And of course, the park doesn't need to be fully HHN.
Yeah.
There's safe spots. But what I mean by dead zones is like, it's like really quiet. It's just really dark. They could fill it with lighting, maybe some music, some sounds, maybe some visual things and decor. It's just there's some parts I feel like it's like completely drawn off from the event.
Yeah, and I think some of that too is what we are used to that is now different, because I think the biggest section where we feel this, and we have for the last 2 years really, is what?
Say it. Oh, I'm going to be proud of you. Go
It's
ahead.
probably going to be wrong.
No, say it.
Is the section where, like, Shrek Alley is what they used to call it. I don't know if I'm guessing they don't call it that anymore because Shrek's gone. But Shrek Alley, where, like, where Transformers, the meet and greet is, and then Shrek and Donkey and Fiona used to meet over there. It used to be a line for a house, and they had music playing. There were people there because there was a line for a house, and now it's just nothing. And even the music feels like it's softer, and there's not really like lights or anything going on there. So literally from the front of the park, once you get into Minion Land, if you go that way and then take a right to go to like Mel's, that whole thing is just empty. It's like nothing.
And to add to that, even when if you guys know the park layout, you walk in, you're in Minion Land, you take a right there, which is between now the Villain Con and the Bake My Day. Anyways, that little store. When you walk down there was times last year where I felt like the regular like show lights were on. And it was just
they
quiet
were all the time.
Yeah, it was just quiet, and it just felt like we were always like, I feel like we're backstage. And we would walk through that section. There was nothing going on. And then if you took a left, right when you got to Mel's, just past the Transformer store, you took a left. That whole section going up there and the past where we used to have the Killer Clown scares out there, it's all empty. You could literally walk in, knock out that one little section of a scare zone, which had like 2 scare actors in it.
Yeah.
And then walk the whole way of Minion Land, take that right, take a left, go all the way up to San Francisco, and get to the San Francisco scare zone before you really touch anything.
There is your hot tip.
If you're trying to stay away from
for scaredy cats.
Yes.
If you want to avoid like the New York scare zone and all that.
We're going to make sure you can't get away this year. We're going to do our best.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I just feel like there's that zone. There's that one, right? Springfield to me has become a major dead zone. We used to have roaming chainsaws there.
Miss that.
What happened? Disney acquired The Simpsons. Is that the reason why we can't have roaming chainsaws in Springfield? Because, excuse me,
I think it's more so staffing.
do you really think that's the issue, though?
We've been hearing that they've been having staffing issues, and to have a whole other scare zone, I think it might be causing some issues. And I think part of the staffing problem, and this is a whole other I almost said podcast, whole other video, but I think part of that is because they're doing so many nights now that now these people are the scare actors, or less people are able to give that amount of time. But that's what I think. I don't know if it has anything to do with Disney. I just feel like, I don't know. Does Disney have a say over?
I'm pretty sure they do. I'm pretty sure they do in some capacity. My thing is, when you look at Springfield, when HHN's starting, they take all the props, like the cop car, they take all that away to open it up for crowds. Why? I mean, during like spring break and the big crowds, they don't take that away. They leave it. So why are they taking it away? That's something that I'm just like, I don't understand. Or maybe like it can't have it in a photo for the event or something. I don't, with an IP, I don't know. I really miss Springfield having something there, because we've always talked about, and this is kind of getting into the section that I really want to talk about too, is once you leave Central Park, you have that scare zone. There's nothing except for house entrance portals. Then you got nightmare fuel. And then what? All the way until you get back to San Francisco. There's really nothing. I'm about to sneeze here in a second, so excuse me, apologize if it happens. Oh man. Oh man. What if I feel like it's about to happen? Okay, that was a well-needed sneeze, I'll tell you that. I just gave myself a headache, though, from it. So, once you pass Central Park, there's really nothing when you walk around that back half of the park. You just have the house portals, a couple food booths maybe, and then the show. And when you had the roaming chainsaws there, it at least gave some element back there, some element of surprise. That's what the scare zones are to me. They're an element of surprise where everything is planned. Okay, I know this is the house entrance. I know that's where the show is. I know that. Okay, I know the scare zone's here. I don't know where the scare actors are. So it gave you that element of surprise where you just, it's not all completely safe back there. So I miss that. I miss when we had the days of the roaming chainsaw hordes back in Springfield. I don't really care for them roaming around the park fully unless they had two units where one had roaming zones and one was stationed in Springfield. And then even the back portion where World Expo is. It would be nice to get something else over there too. I personally like the idea. This is another thing that we might talk about in another episode coming up. I like the idea of roaming characters. So like the Peacock Bar, you know, you have characters that come into Peacock Bar. It'd be really cool if you had some characters that walk back there that just walk around, interact with the audience and stuff like that. 5-10 minutes, you may see Megan walking back and forth. You may see a Purge character walking back and forth. And their goal is not necessarily to scare people, but to just add that element of like, look, and it, you know, get people's attention back over there while they go from maybe one location to another or something. I don't know. Just to add more to the back end, I feel like it needs a little bit of love.
Just more in general.
So, anyways, yeah. That was that's the facade of Horror Nights, that little section that we really weren't going to talk about at all today. But you mentioned it, and I thought that would be a good way to kick it off as we're 40 minutes into the live. A lot more to go. Hey, that was good. I like that. It was good. Fist bump live. All right, so let's move back on to the show notes. What is the next one that I want to get into right now? Why don't we talk Tribute Store?
Okay.
Tribute Store. We got the Tribute Store. We got the Lagoon Show. Then we got the Men in Black tent. We have Fast and Furious, and we have the big one. Those are the 5 that we really want to dive into. What's up, everyone, and welcome to the live stream tonight. Happy Tuesday evening. We have 5 things we want to talk about. We're just getting started, so if you're just joining us, sit down. You didn't miss anything. We're getting suited up and ready to go. But yeah, so let's talk about the Tribute Store. Mm-hmm. I hope it's in New York.
Of course.
I don't see why it wouldn't be. And we're not, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. We'll see here. I don't know. I want to know from you guys. Type in the chat 1 if you guys like the New York location. Type 2 if you guys like the Hollywood location for a Halloween Horror Nights Tribute Store. I just, logistic wise, I don't see an HHN Tribute Store working in Hollywood. No. What are you laughing at?
Is that even a question? Everybody's going to say 1.
Good. Spam 1. But I mean, I'm seriously, I want to know. And if anybody spams 2, I want to know why.
Nobody is saying 2.
Better not. Better not be a 2.
No, it just doesn't make sense. It's not big enough. And it would make Hollywood way too crowded.
I agree. Yeah, that's why we're going to start with Tribute Store. There's not much to talk about it. I expect it to be in New York. I'd be surprised if it's in Hollywood. I was surprised to even see the Mardi Gras one. Or, the Mardi Gras one in New York. I felt like they could have done the Mardi Gras one. Excuse me. I'm surprised that it was in Hollywood this year. Yeah. After the Christmas one, I was like, okay, do the Mardi Gras in New York. Do the Summer Tribute Store in Hollywood. Do the Horror Nights one in New York. It's a good flow. Yeah. So when we got the Mardi Gras one in New York, New York. In Hollywood, I was surprised. I was genuinely surprised. And I I'm not a fan of the location. I just feel like they can't give it their all in this spot. And then when you think about it, the crowds for Halloween Horror Nights all night is consistently going through that store, especially with the scare zone. And I know we have one in New York, but it's not to the size of what New York is. Where Hollywood's scare zone and that walking path and all, it's not quite the same setup.
No.
Because Hollywood is just a straight strip, where New York, the tribute store, is kind of in an open corner. So it has more to fill, and there's more of a non-logistical nightmare compared to what Hollywood would give.
Yeah.
That's just our opinion.
Ooh, Tyler Loves Theme Parks said 2 tribute stores.
I can see that. Didn't we have 2 tribute stores last Halloween Horror Nights? We had the Jurassic Park tribute store.
Well, yeah.
So, I mean, it's possible that we could potentially see a Ghostbusters summer tribute store.
That's
and
true.
then it bleeds into Halloween Horror Nights, where Hollywood has Ghostbusters and then New York has maybe some other ones.
Yeah.
That's a potential.
I can see that.
Hey, admins, please ban Southridge Films. Get them out. Get them out of here. I don't want to see those twos. Get them out. So yeah, so that's
I think we're all
store.
in agreement on that.
Yeah, tribute store. Not much expected to see in New York. If not, I'd be very surprised, and I'd love to sit down with them and ask them why. Is it a contract again?
Yeah, I doubt it's going to be in New York.
If it's a contract issue, I feel like we really need to talk about overdoing contracts now.
Yeah.
Slow it down. Let's backpedal here. So yeah, so tribute store. Next up, the Lagoon Show. This one I feel like has the most question marks
Oh, yeah.
because
Well, maybe not the most, but
yeah, I know
it's
there's
a
still more.
toss-up.
Again, in the chat, guys, do you think we are going to be getting a tribute store? Was that my second?
Are we
Humble.
going to be getting a tribute store? Yes or no?
I need to know. I need to know, guys. Let's do a poll for this one.
There you go.
Stephanie's going to do a poll for you guys. So hang tight. She's going to set it up if you guys think that we're going to be getting a Lagoon Show for HHN this year or not. I know they are working very hard at getting the Lagoon Show up and running. They have a new one that they want to do. It's potential for it to open up later this year. And we're talking just like the regular Universal one. It has potential for it later this year, if not next year. But if they could get it this year, how quickly are they going to get it this year? And potentially, could we get a Horror Nights one? My question is, if they're thinking, okay, can we get the Lagoon Show ready for later this year to have for Universal? If that's in the question, does the team talk about, if that's the case, we could potentially get it? Do we possibly prepare to have a Lagoon Show for HHN this year then? That's where my mindset and thinking is. I want to know. Oh my gosh. My allergies are kicking me.
I don't know, but I like this idea of Rocky Horror being in animal actors.
No. What do we got in the votes right now? How does it currently look?
65% yes.
All right. So more than half of you right now that voted do believe that we're going to get a Lagoon Show this year.
And this is not you want a Lagoon Show. This
this
is you
isn't-
think it's going
yeah.
to happen. I mean, I did say, will we get a Lagoon Show?
Yes.
So-
I personally, 2 months ago, I thought yes. Last month, I thought no. 2 weeks ago, I thought yes. Last week, I thought no.
It's like he has like a rose and he's saying yes, no.
Pretty much.
Yes.
And it's going back and forth because, like, you know, I'm hearing things in the progress on it. It's moving fast, but then again, every time I look at it, it seems like they keep, at least every time we go to the park, which is it's rare at this time of year. You know, the lagoon's filled, okay, and then there's the next time we'll go, it's drained, and they have all the operational pieces exposed and stuff for the show. They're working on it, and during the daylight, you see them out there testing some things and tweaking things. So it's just like, you know, where exactly are we in the process of it being 100% ready to go? I don't know.
Yeah, and like, are they able to calibrate like 2 different shows at once while they're like doing all this? Is it, you know what I mean? Like, do they have the time to do this whole, like regular season show and an HHN show? Like, do they have the time for that? You know?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, do you think it's in the conversation if they're like, yeah, we'll have the Lagoon ready around that time? So do we put some folks at attention to trying to get a Lagoon show for HHN? That's where the speculation map comes in. H2O. Why you give me that face? You love that.
Brian's never even seen Zoolander. I was gonna make a Zoolander joke.
Oh no, I've never seen it. Anyways, the voting. What's the percentage? We'll close it down.
73% yes.
Wow. Okay, so 73% of y'all think we will be getting a Lagoon show for HHN this year. I hope you guys are right. I really do. Because last year, one thing, if you guys remember, end of last year, I was really upset with this, where I was like, HHN increased their prices, right? Everybody's talking, yay, the event. And I'm like, we lost things last year. We lost a show. I feel like we lost food booths. Last year, I felt like there was less food booths than we've had before.
Yeah.
Even Mardi Gras this year feels like that, but it's because they have their permanent locations they're trying to implement. I think it just helps with staffing doing that.
Yeah.
So it's a smart labor cost. But then I'm like, okay, so like, are we going to be also like downgrading this year? Are we going to say, oh, last year's what we're getting this year as well? It's like, that's still a downgrade for what we had beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
So we had two shows. We only had one show last year now. This year, do we get a second show? And the Lagoon show is usually where the focus goes to. But if we don't get that, where else? Well, we've talked about this before in past videos and live streams of using other stage areas. Blue Man Group, talked about that before, right? Which would be extremely difficult to do Blue Man Group. Then we talked about the horror makeup show, small theater, which I think they need to use. They need to use that space. And the animal actor stage.
They should do like a horror makeup show, but like
HHN.
Like after dark. Make it like a little bit darker, a little bit
Just
more adult.
So 2 ideas that I have with the horror makeup show. One, and this is another idea that you could use with animal actors that I really hope we get to see, where I would love those behind the scenes stuff. I think that'd be so cool. And to me, what is it called? The horror makeup show stage, that location is perfect for such a panel for behind the scenes stuff, or have 2 people come up and they're cast for this role, right? Where they just have the screen that shows some clips and stuff. They talk about the behind the scenes process of casting scare actors, creating the houses, doing the event. But they just do a little bit of that. It's like a 15-minute show that talks about it. Happens every 45 minutes and stuff, and then boom, last show is at like 11:45, and that's it.
Yeah, and I know Tyler said I don't think there's enough seats. That theater is very small, but it'd be just like the horror makeup show during the day, where like they count out how many people line up, and you know, if you don't make it, you don't make it.
Yep. Same thing that they do for Nightmare Fuel. If you don't make it, sorry, you don't make it.
Yeah.
And I know it's not a lot of space. But if we're like, oh, we're only doing the Fear Factor stage, we're at a situation right now where, like I said, it's fork in the road. We have such a capacity issue right now at Universal with HHN and how busy it's getting to be. Where can we add things to help alleviate the crowds? And I feel personally that location would be perfect doing the horror makeup show. And I know they use it for VIP stuff. Get rid of that. So I feel like that would be perfect because, you know, they do it like every 30 minutes, every 45 minutes. They have a show. They could have revolving cast come in and do some improv things about the behind the scenes of Halloween Horror Nights. Get people in, some fans of the event, regulars of the event, first timers of the event, to see that process and introduce something unique to the event that we haven't had before. And when you think about the lineup process of like getting people in and counting off, that whole area is just empty. They have that, you know what I'm talking about, where the esoteric gate is. You could have the entrance for that over there in a section, as long as you make sure the section for scare actors to go in and out is, you know, clean and all that stuff, it's spacious. I feel like they could go over there, they do the count, boom, 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 you know, like That's it. That's it for this show. If you're gonna wait for the next show, this is the holding
Yeah.
area. Count you guys off. Boom. We're at capacity. You guys have to wait for the next show in a way.
Yeah.
That's just something to get the capacity. Instead of just roaming around the park or in the lines for the houses or the other show, you
Yeah.
give something else, and then you could do another show.
I personally
Actors.
would rather have another like scripted show or something like that rather than a behind the scenes thing. Just like from the perspective of like if I was running the event, I wouldn't necessarily want like a behind the scenes. I don't know, like I just feel like it takes away from the atmosphere of the actual event being like, and this is how we do it. You know what I mean?
Well, that's kind of what the RIP tour does in a way. Like they kind of give you those insider tips that makes like the hardcore
But
fans.
it's not like a behind the screams tour where they're like, this is how they do this. It's like, this is the story behind this. Maybe the show in Horror Makeup Show is like going more into the theme for that year. And it's like a story about that. Maybe like last year, instead of having Dr. Oddfellow like come out and randomly get up and do stuff, he's in that theater and he has a whole show talking about the story behind that entire year.
See, that'd be a logistics nightmare for sure. But
What?
I like the idea.
How so?
If you put an icon in a small building, and you get.
It doesn't necessarily. That's not necessarily like. That's
get what
just
you're
an
saying, yeah.
example.
I mean,
but
Well, let me add this to you, right? Going back to the speculation map, they have animal actors involved.
mhm.
So the way I'm talking is, you have the horror makeup show as a potential location to use for a show, but then you also use animal actors for, like you said, a scripted show of some sort.
Yeah,
So
that's
then
what I
you
would
have
want.
those, you have those revolving doors, you have those differences. Because I feel like when it comes to the genre of horror, it's one of those genres that's so like how it really sucks people in is like, how did they do that? Like, how did you do that? And I
Yeah.
feel like people are so interested in seeing the how with the horror, because horror is one of the, I think out of all the genres out there, horror is one of the more hands-on genres when it comes to practical effects and like visual effects and things like that to make something look the way it does. I think it takes more, and that's what people are interested in learning how, that I feel like would draw such a crowd for it.
Mhm.
And I mean, that's my opinion, because
Okay.
I'm speaking for myself.
Anyway, we're talking about logistics, not shows that they could potentially do in the future.
That's a future video, I guess, huh? Sorry. Apologize. Told you, this is going to be one of those episodes where I just...
All right. Anyway, what do you think is going to be the
Lagoon show, like
sh-
we were originally talking about.
No, the show that the spec map had
I don't
on
know.
there.
I really think it should be a Halloween show of the dogs and animals and cats and all
I do
that
think
stuff.
it is weird because it's not a stage, and there's not really like, it's not like they could put a stage there like just for the night.
Yeah, I don't know. Because it's an active location during the day.
Yeah,
So, I don't know. That's where I feel like that's where it gets the behind the scenes stuff going.
it's
I
weird.
don't know. We'll see. I still think it should be all the animals partying.
Mhm.
And do just a Animal Actors After Dark Halloween edition. And it's just the animals dressed up in costumes and going around and doing their show
It's
and all.
like cute, family friendly
Yeah.
show.
Rock on.
Sure.
Rock on. All right.
I want Beetlejuice or
Beetlejuice would be great.
Rocky Horror.
All right. So, yeah. So, we talked about the Lagoon show. I really hope that it does come true because we need another show. We need that capacity draw. And I think one thing that really was a bummer about last year was like, we talked earlier in the live stream, if you guys just joining us, we talked earlier in the live stream of like some dead spots. And I feel like when we had the Lagoon show, that really filled up the atmosphere with music and sound, visuals, lights, and all that kind of stuff to really fill the atmosphere up more. So I really hope we do get the Lagoon show back.
And that's especially like that area over by like Transformers that we talked about.
Yep.
That was just like dead last year. If you have the Lagoon show, at least for part of the night, there's like music and lights and all that good stuff. You good?
I just feel like, blah. That's what happens when you work 10, 12 hours a day every day for the past 17
So
months.
should we move on to
Absolutely.
Should we move on to Fast and Furious? Or did you have another?
Yeah, no,
one in mind?
let's do, because we have Men in Black, Fast and Furious, and the big one. Let's do Fast and Furious.
Okay.
As my nose is draining.
So do y'all think that Fast and Furious is just like?
Do y'all think?
Do
Hell
you-
yeah, brother.
Do you guys think that Fast and Furious is, with this rumor that it's closing? Do you think it's closing for good, or just kind of like Poseidon's Fury, how it like closed down for like 3 months and then came back up for like a month before they closed it down permanently?
First of all, I saw Erica's question in the comments. Yes,
What?
I do, but I feel like it also adds.
What's the question?
Everybody,
Everybody's confused.
I think you're confused.
Everybody who's not reading the chat, yeah.
Okay, the Lagoon Show stopped with Hurricane Ian 2 years ago, so we didn't get to see it. Question: does the sound of the Lagoon Show take away from the Central Park scare zone?
A little bit.
It does, but like I said, it adds another. That's another vibe itself. Because I think these characters play a part of it. You know.
Yeah.
So
I don't
anyways.
think it ruins it,
No.
but it does. You can definitely hear it,
Yeah, you can hear it from the park.
and it overpowers the music and
Everywhere.
atmosphere sounds that are in there.
Everywhere. Absolutely.
Mhm.
I feel like I hear it too when I'm in the soundstage. Okay, so anyways, back to Fast and Furious. You asked the question. And I don't remember what the question was.
Is it going to temporarily close or permanently close? We have a temporary, seasonal, not, or temporary, hopefully, temporary, hopefully forever, hopefully forever.
Here's what I would say. I don't think it's a good idea to permanently close Fast and Furious just yet.
We're getting a Fast and Furious ride on the West Coast now.
Hollywood.
I don't feel like they would close. Yeah, the one over
I
here.
hope they blow up the Fast and Furious building. Let me just say that. I want to blow it up. Boom. With confetti. Just blow it up. Boom. Let me listen. Okay, ready? Brian Power Hour right here, right? You cannot close the ride permanently in such a short notice and then have that area just empty when we're talking about capacity issues. You can't. You have to have a plan to place it right away with something. So I feel like the closure could be a temporary closure, whether we're talking about labor costs, cutting effects, things like that, pre-planning certain things. Remember, this is a rumor. This is not an official thing. It may not actually happen. It's just a rumor at the current state. But you have to have something ready. So I don't see them just saying, yep, it's permanently closed. I feel like the only way they would do that is if they have a plan ready to go in place.
Yeah.
The question being is, who cares about that necessarily? More so is, does this have an impact on HHN? And if so, where?
Yes. I also saw people saying the ride on the West Coast is a coaster. Yes, I know that.
She knows everybody.
I was more so saying that, I don't know, I feel like they wouldn't want to like sever that IP like on this coast unless
See ya.
they're doing something else Fast and Furious. I don't think that they want to get rid of like Fast
See ya.
and Furious as an IP.
Goodbye.
I know we all feel that way.
The
but
only way I'm okay with Fast and Furious staying is if they just did like a Tokyo drift scene or whatever, where you got in the car and you were actually, driving through Tokyo, drifting around and stuff like that. Absolutely. Let's go back to the old Fast and Furious. Anyways,
Yeah.
That's a conversation for another year.
Anyway, if it's closed during HHN, do we get it as, more space for a house? Do we lose that space entirely? Or does it stay exactly the same? What do y'all think?
What do you think?
I would love to have it as a space. I would love to have it as a space, like a larger space for a house, whether that's through the queue or through the actual building where the ride is. I would love that, but I always lean on the side of not pessimism, but realism. And
Boringism is what I
I
call
think
it.
it's just going to stay the same. I don't think it's going to change at all. I think we're still going to get the 2 separate things. I think it's worked the last 2 years, so they're not going to change it. They already have a layout that they know they can work with, and they're just going to keep it like that.
So, Dracula overlay. I like the thinking. I'll talk to them about it. We'll see what we can get approved. If the rumor is true, even if the rumor is true, if it closes down in August, you have to think about this. If it closes in August, let's say even August 1st, is that enough time to put a house together if they were expanding the house? If they were doing anything in an expansion sort within that building for HHN?
Yes.
Absolutely. Universal, as we know, is alleged at getting things done, unlike some other companies I won't name. But it is enough time. But to what quality level are we getting?
Yeah.
I feel like that's the thing. They won't really have enough time to test certain things. So we're talking basic level of type of expansion. However, for this location, I think it's desperately needed of that. Even if it's a very basic expansion to it and a scene or more to the queue line, anything they could add, I think would help in any capacity.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to see this location go for a house. I really don't. Because I think there's still potential to it. They just started. They're using it. Remember this last year, their Chucky house was just the second time they've ever used this location for a house. So they're still learning what works out. And you really never know what works until you really start using it, putting it to use. So I feel like it absolutely would help. I still feel like they do have enough time, but not enough time to go
to make
fully
it
all out.
Yeah. Irfan asked, when do they start construction on the houses? They start pretty early, like now.
I mean, yeah, they're building.
They start during Mardi Gras, but
even before, we've had houses in years past that started like February, January.
but not all of them, because they'll do that with areas that aren't used,
like the sprung tents.
Yeah, and some of the sound stages.
The sound stages are a little more delayed, though.
Yeah, but I've seen them use the sound stages during Mardi Gras.
Yeah. No, true.
They'll start building, but my first year scare acting, when I was in the Men in Black tent, it was the last one built, and they didn't even approve that as what the house was until like the last month. It got switched.
There you go. I was gonna say, yeah.
And
it was a house, planned for a house, and in August, last second, they swapped it to a Blumhouse property.
And 2 weeks before opening night, we had our dress rehearsal. I went in there and it was bare bones.
Yeah, it was just wood.
So they definitely can get it done quickly. It just, like Brian said, like, will it be rushed?
Like, hear me out, right? Let's put this into perspective. Do you guys remember when they built the barn in Scarecrow in the Scare Zone? Do you guys remember when they put together the little stage in New York for Vamp 69? Like, you see how quickly those things go up? And those are not, like, easy tasks. Like, that takes a big team to put up overnight. So...
And a lot of stuff can be done in separate areas beforehand, and then all, like, put in.
Yeah. So it doesn't have to be worked on at the spot. They work on it elsewhere. They can bring it in. So I'd be very interested to see what, Fast and Furious, what it holds for the future as far as a house location and whether we're talking expansions or usage. I really hope the rumor is true. If that is the case, then they're looking at maybe doing Fast and Furious as like a seasonal operation attraction kind of thing to help alleviate crowds and stuff like that, but not running it fully. We never do it. I've done it once, I think, in my life.
Me too.
Ever. Don't care to do it again. So that is Fast and Furious. Hoping that we do get something out of it. And I feel like with it attached to the Scare Zone there in San Francisco, that area could use some help in some logistics of expansion and layout. But I love having a house there. I really do. I think that helps with the flow of things. I think we need a house there. I like it. How can we make it better? That's the question. But moving over to another location, the Men in Black tents. I have to go to Banyo.
Okay.
So I will let you discuss the Men in Black tents to the audience. For the
Okay.
time being.
Sorry, I had a cough.
Zoe,
Um,
sick. I can't do it. All right, I'll be back. Hold on, let me gracefully get up.
exciting hundo. Anyway, so Men in Black tents, or tent. There's not multiple. Brian and I actually went to the park. I forget when that was. A week, 2 weeks ago, and they had taken down the small tent that was there. So last year we did not get the Men in Black tent as a house, but they had put up a tent like right before HHN, and everybody was like, is it a house or is it not going to be a house? And it wasn't. It's a much smaller tent. It's a lot like more shallow. So they took that down and it's not there right now. They, after HHN, they always take that tent down and then it goes back up. So, they could just be doing something different with it. They might not need that space for whatever reason, whatever they were doing in there. Or maybe they're putting the full-size tent back up. And maybe they're using that for Men in Black. One of the biggest things with all of these changes is, we don't know if certain areas are going to be able to be used as houses the way that they were in previous years. So it's like, we don't know if that space is going to be needed in order to have 10 full houses or not. But yeah, what do you guys think? Do you think that would be used? Do you like that spot? Do you like Men in Black as a tent or as a house? Or no? I know that in the past it has had issues with flooding, but I think that they fixed that for the most part 2 years ago. I will say I do agree that it might be a little bit of a cluster if you have the Men in Black tent, the entrance for one of the sprung tents, and Nightmare Fuel or whatever show is going on there. I could see that being a lot right there. But I don't know. Prefer Men in Black tent over Fast and Furious. Love Men in Black tent. I don't think it will be a house anymore.
What'd I miss?
Want Men in Black tent back. One of my favorite spots. So it sounds like people like the Men in Black tent and kind of want
Oh, yeah.
that back.
I miss that location a lot.
Yeah.
I do. And here's the reason why I miss that location. The last house that we had there back in HHN 30, we had Scary Ohio, Horror in Heartland.
Mm-hmm.
That spot, unlike majority of the houses that you experience, this queue line is somewhat engaging because the queue line all happens right in the queue line happens all in front of the house facade. And with the house facade, you have the house facade, you have the atmosphere, you have the music going.
Mm-hmm.
So every time you have that, no matter where you're at in line, you're kind of involved in it.
It's kind of like B108, except not really Last of Us B108, but like The Weekend B108.
Yes, exactly.
It's like all right there.
The Hill House
Yeah.
B108.
Yeah.
The classic Monsters B108. Yes, like that. Absolutely.
Instead of like, what's the other one? B70?
B79, yeah.
B79 is like nothing. Like
Until
you're just
you get up to
walking
it.
in like silence back there until you
Absolutely.
get up to it. Yeah. But that's at the very end of the line.
Same thing with the sound stages until they finally put a projector up.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too. Even the sprung tent, not the one that we had Darkest Deal in, but Oddfellow, right? You don't really get to experience that when, think about it. You got to go behind the Men in Black building, and it's just nothing. You get back there, you get stopped in line way back there still. You can see the house way down the way, but it's still like, it's late. We've walked a lot. There's all these people here. It's hot.
Yeah.
It's still nothing. So this is one of those locations that, like, if we're just talking about the vibe of it, it's a perfect spot. It's got plenty of queue line to house up to an hour wait easily. It's got plenty of queue space. The only problem with it is the logistics of, well, what about the sprung tents? Where do you have the entrances for those go? You know, where's the exits for this? What about the express line? I still think you could make it work.
I think everybody would be very happy if the entrance for that one sprung tent was not over there anymore.
I'm still okay with it.
Because we use Express Pass and we
Yeah.
never have to wait in that.
Just spend your life savings on Express Pass. No problem. Done deal. Here's the thing. I understand nobody likes the walk, but we're walking a lot regardless.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
yeah.
because, like, for instance, sometimes the line backs up behind the Men in Black tent. Like, what if they didn't have that section? How far would it be backed up where it's at? You're still going to walk the distance of that line.
But I think it's, again, it's more so, it's less like the walk. It's more so like waiting an hour back there where there's nothing to look at, no music.
I agree with you. And that's why, like, when we talked about it last year, they really need to enhance the queue line experience a lot more. I think it falls into that category more. Would you agree with that? So the way I look at it if we were to bring back the Men in Black tent, this is just an if we were to bring it back, which I think would be great because I feel like this has the potential to be the 11th house if we were to bring it back. On the right side, if you guys remember, I wish I had the picture pulled up for you guys to see it, but I think you guys know. On the right side is the entrance for the Men in Black tent. On the far left side is the entrance for the sprung tent. In the middle is not the express line anymore, it's the exit line. That could be very hectic. That'd be really hectic, but you could fit 3 lines there because they've done that before.
Yeah, and then just have, where would you have the express lines for those two?
Men in Black. Let's talk about Men in Black first. The far right, everybody goes down that line. There's no clustering right here. Oh, I got express. Everybody right here, one line, go in. You'll come up to it up there soon.
But you're still going to have people that are like, no, I don't go down that line. I'm express.
Absolutely. You have that people when they get to their house. Oh, where's the front door? You got people like that in general. It happens. It's okay. I did that today. It's fine. But when you go into that right path, you go to the Men in Black house, whatever it may be. Let's call it the Scary Ohio house, right? You go up there. When you go up, you then have to take a right to get into line, and the house is usually right there on the left. But the entrance for the express pass was a little bit further down and wrapped back down to go directly in, where that next turn immediately was what went back into the Men in Black queue line. I feel like you could make that work. It'd be very tough. Like I said, it's not a pretty situation, but this is if you want an 11th house, you'll do what you got to make it work, and we'll figure it out. The far left is the entrance for the sprung tent. I have never seen the queue, the wait for that sprung tent come out that back end. I've never seen people stand there.
But this all changes if we can have 2 house entrances in Kidzone. Because now you don't have to have that.
Potentially. We're going to get to that. We'll get to that.
Or
we won't get to
Or we don't have B108 as a house anymore. So then we just have the 2 tents. But you could have the entrances for the 2 tents where they've always been.
Yes. Like
before last year.
Yes. Good job.
And then you can have an entrance for Men in Black where it goes and not the entrance for the sprung tent over there.
Yes.
Where it does not belong.
I agree. Let's not jump show notes.
I'm just saying, like, what's the point of having all this conversation?
For this reason.
I think having 2 lines in that one spot and an exit is a terrible idea.
I agree with you. Shake my hand. You and I love each other for a reason.
You said it could be done. I think it's impossible.
No, it's not impossible. The fact that I became a horror fan in the first place, we thought was impossible. Nothing is impossible, folks. Okay. But we're talking for the situation that we have at hand right now with Men in Black. Can it make it work? I think it'd be very hard and difficult, but I think it could.
They
I think it's
also
gonna take
have
some
to
creative
have
minds.
they also have to have some sort of room for emergencies.
Absolutely. I agree with you. Yeah. This is a situation Steph and I get in a lot when we talk about, like, when I bring up ideas, she brings these up and I'm like, I don't have the answers for this. I think of the idea first that I really like. Then we talk about how can you make it work, where Steph looks at the realistic side of it, where she's like, no, you got these, it won't work. You can't do this idea.
I
now.
just the way my brain works is like, why even think about it if it's not possible?
Because it is possible. You just have to think how to make it possible. I think it's possible. The fact that we're sitting here and we have over 100 people just sitting down watching us talk right now blows my mind, but it's possible. It's happening, okay? So
Anyway.
cheers to y'all, by the way.
Anyway, I think dream scenario, they go back to the way it was where we have
Hold up, real quick. Do you want to save that for that topic, though?
sure.
Because we're going to bleed right into it.
I mean, that's the next topic, so we might as well just go right into it.
Hold on one second. Go lay down. It's literally, guys, we are an hour and 17 minutes into this live stream, and he's getting up to come to tell us. Go lay down. He always does it at an hour 15, hour and 20
And
minutes.
he's like, you done?
Yeah.
You guys done?
Mommy's all right. Daddy's all right. All right, just lay down. You're good. I understand. I know. I get it. Thank you for telling us. We know. See if it's it. Did you see that when he laid it?
Yeah.
No, just lay down.
Anyway, I think dream scenario, they bring Men in Black back, and they have
Bring Men in Black back.
that entrance area as only
As its own
the
thing.
entrance and exit for Men in Black,
I agree.
like they always have
Yep.
before last year. And then we have the two entrances for those other two houses back there where they always were before last year. Was it? Wait, no, 2 years ago was the first time, because Bugs was the first time they did that.
Yes. HHN 31 was the first time we had that.
I don't like that at all. I think it. What?
Javier.
Oh. Hondosaurus Fund.
Javier with the 5, by the way, for the Hondosaurus Fund.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hondo, stay.
He appreciates it.
Just stay.
Anyway,
Thanks, Javier. Appreciate that.
I don't like the layout that way. I don't know if it's just, again, me not liking change and being like, it was better the old way. But
No. But that statement's not wrong. It
Yeah.
was better that way. I agree with you. But with the cards you are dealt, how do you make it work?
Yeah.
And I think that's where that conversation comes. I feel like they could still make it work with last year's situation, having Men in Black. I still think you can make it work. It would be a nightmare. I never said it was going to be pretty, but I think you could still pull it off at the end, where it's like we were able to still do it. I feel like that's the conversation for that. But then transitioning into the big one, which is Dreamworks Kidzone area, the new permits that we have for the Sprung areas, the parade buildings, and the Sprung tents itself, plus Simpsons. That whole area, which kind of connects to Men in Black in a way, that's where this conversation bleeds into, which Stephanie was jumping ahead and kind of talking about if we have Dreamworks back and doing that. But I'll let you go ahead and say what you were about to say just then.
I forget.
Oh, no. Come on. It was 20 seconds tops.
I know.
We were talking about the big one. Talking about Dreamworks, Kidzone Land.
Oh, I was just gonna say that I will mention that I do not miss when the line for that one Sprung tent where Puppet Theater was. I don't miss when the line would wrap to the other side of it and go like
Oh yeah, no,
this
absolutely,
over there
absolutely,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
come back to the front. Didn't really care for that too much. So I like that this last year it did not do that. Now it just stays on this side.
Did it also do that for Descendants too? I think it did that for Descendants.
No. I don't know, but I will also say that the exits for the Sprung tents last year were a mess.
Yes, which that is also part of the big one. Which one do you want to focus on first? Do you want to talk
I
about the
don't
DreamWorks
know.
part, or do
I don't know.
I feel like you're nitpicking
Just
at
go
something.
ahead. Just go ahead.
No, but I mean, you bring up a great point. You know what? Screw it. We're gonna get to DreamWorks. Let's talk about the sprung tents, the current sprung tents.
Okay.
Let's go in that direction as we're going clockwise around the park. I loved it when HHN 30 we had the Wicked Growth entrance right by the Men in Black restrooms to be for that sprung tent.
Mm-hmm.
And then I loved it on the other side. You had back in HHN 30, excuse me, we had Puppet Theater, the entrance for the house right there, and the exits for both of them. Boom, right there.
Mm-hmm.
So you come in, you get out. You come in, you get out. And it was for those tents. I loved that. The way that they have a transition, I feel like does need to change, but they did it because of what they are currently facing.
Yes.
It's not pretty. They got it done. Period. So then the exits is the next topic. I wonder if there is a way to have a better system on exiting those sprung tents, because last year I felt like was really the first time that I noticed it was an issue.
It was bad.
Because there was times we were getting stopped in the house for Descendants. Excuse me. Darkest Steel. Not Descendants. For Darkest Steel. I didn't really notice it too much with Oddfellow. I noticed it more with Darkest Steel. Where we were at the exit of the house and we were getting stopped. We're thinking, oh, cast change? But no, the cast was not changing.
It was just backed up.
It was backed up because people, once you get out, you turn that right, you take that one long right. And then that's where the people from Oddfellow was coming out. And it was not spacious at all.
No.
There were so many people that was cluttered up there. And especially on busy nights, you were walking like pink. There was times when Steph and I would even get separated with how many people was there, that it backed up the flow of traffic in the house, which slows the wait time down.
And I think part of it, which is a problem that is created because they were solving another problem, but I think part of it is that they started making those like little platforms with the fence that for the exits and even the entrance,
Which is great.
because it does help, because there was a lot of really bad flooding that even like would shut down the houses for like the entire night. So obviously like that's not good. We need to do something with that. But I think the platforms and then the fencing, it's almost like too small, where before when we didn't have that, it was just open road.
Yeah.
So like you could go around people if they were going slower. When you merged in with other people, it wasn't an issue. But because the fenced in section last year was kind of small, and then you had those two houses merging into one, it just got so backed up that it just would like, you would be at a standstill, and it's hot and crowded, and it was just not fun.
Just miserable.
Yeah.
How do you make that better?
I truly don't know.
I like the design path that they have. I think that's nice. But that one section where those two houses merge, that needs to be wider, way wider. And it was also very difficult last year because if you guys remember, even though like they merged and when you got out, there was a queue line right there for people from The Last of Us going to The Last of Us. So it's not like you could really expand it because you had another line coming in for another house with another entrance. So like I said, this plays to last year's logistics. We're discussing the situation from last year, the issues we had. It's going to be very different this year. And that's what we started. If you guys are just joining us, or if you guys have been here since the whole live stream, an hour and 24 minutes ago, we kind of started off with like the way it looks, the way it runs, the way it feels, and what you used to remember of how that used to be here. We used to do this back in the day, blah, blah, blah. I feel like this is the time where it's really going to start changing. And that's how it's going to be kind of moving forward, is what you see is kind of the path for it.
And I think like there were some of those changes that had to be made last year for whatever reason. But we've talked about how the opening night, there's always, even just like all opening weekend, there's always like operational kinks that end up for the most part getting worked out throughout the year. But there are things that don't get to be tested, like the exit to those sprung tents, until the event is running and they do not have time to change it.
You can't change it.
So
But the main problem with that.
maybe they'll fix it this year is what I'm trying to say.
But what's the main problem with it? If you guys remember, when you're exiting those, there are buildings right next to you. There's those trailers they have right there. And that kind of plays into the conversation of, well, all that space. And I remember back in 2019. I think it was back in 2019 when Universal Classic Monsters was our thing. And that was the time that I really got to see that space, that land, when me and Drew used to go running all the time back there.
There's a lot of space back there.
There's a lot of real estate for potential expansions. They use it for operational reasons and stuff. But I feel like with them going this route of, making 2 new sprung locations and stuff, I feel like we could reallocate some of those trailers and make maybe another bigger parade building, another big, like B79, not like B108, but maybe like B79 to I was like, what happened? That was weird. To fill those trailer offices, whatever those are for, and put them in a parade building. Give them like proper offices, give them bigger buildings, bigger storages, and have it in one section versus these smaller trailers here and there. Put that one place, and you can expand those queue lines just ever so. From a queue line space that could fit just 2 people side by side, double it to have 4 people side by side.
And I honestly don't know that there's necessarily like offices back there. Like there are some, but
in like B108, there's offices in there. So that's what I mean. Like if people use the trailers for work and all that stuff, give them another parade building, better work environment for them, and they can have like those offices set up. It's more of an upgrade for whatever those trailers use and stuff. And you can allocate that for storage and all that, and be able to expand more from those sprung tents and connect them. Here's my dream scenario. Because there's that expansion going on right now with the new sprung tents in that area, we are now going to have I'm going to call it a Hollywood scenario. For those of you who've been on the West Coast, our friends out on the West Coast, or those of you who, have visited before, the Curious George lot really was that a yawn or a whine?
I don't know.
The Curious George lot opened my mind with this a little bit more. I've had this idea in the past, but I've never gotten to experience it in this way. And I hope you're listening in, because I really want to get your take on this. When we went to Hollywood, you had the Curious George lot. The Curious George lot was just one big open space, and you had 2 houses. You choose what you want to do. You can even stand there if you wanted to. They had the projection stuff, but that area was allocated for those spots. I feel like we're getting into a situation with Orlando where we kind of have that. The 2 new sprung locations is going to kind of be that role in a way.
Yeah.
But now, if you look at the map, you have, from y'all's perspective, you have the sprung tents here, the old ones, and then up here, you're going to have the new ones. You kind of have this dead zone here. And I feel like this is the area where we can start putting queue lines. We could put it's like a hub for these 4 sprung tents. You have this hub, you can put like drink carts and things like that. That is this area that I feel like is now going to be the question of focus on how does Horror Nights move forward and Universal move forward with filling this area to have better layouts, better, what is the word? It starts with an E. Efficiency, crowd control, and things like that, and to still give them the quality enhancement of keeping in the story of what Horror Nights is presenting that year. I feel like we're starting to get to that. And if they were to do something like add another additional building to move those trailers, you could really connect those sprung tents in that area for such thing. So I feel like that's what we're getting to, is a situation like that with the Curious George lot where it's open like that for this area, which could in return help expand those queue lines and stuff that we've had an issue with exiting for the sprung tents last year. That's my take.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of that? Would you guys like something like that to happen? Spam it in the chat. 1 for yes, 2 for no.
See, I like the way that they have it set up in Hollywood. I thought that was, it is a lot of walking to get back there, but
We're walking regardless.
yeah, I think it works. However, I would be worried with our crowds here if
Yes,
that would
yes.
work, or if it would just end up being another
Even
line
worse, yes.
just to get over there. like an hour-long line just to get to that section to then get in line. Like, that would be really annoying, you know?
Yeah, it just, Hollywood and Orlando, they're two different beasts, two different events. In Orlando in general, it's getting crowded. And the one thing Universal does not have the luxury of is size. What they got is what they got. This area they're kind of expanding into right now with the new two Sprung locations, that's pretty much it for Universal Studios in a way. Which is where Fast and Furious comes into play, where if they take that away, add pushback, whatever they got to do, could add some more space. Mm-hmm. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
So I'm really interested. I feel like this is, this is a very important place to kind of keep our eye on to see what the decisions are moving forward, because that's a big deal. I mean, that's 4 to 5 houses that we're having, which is half of the event at current standards, in that location that could really show the layout for what's going to happen in the future.
Yeah. Also, this is off topic of what you're saying, but I just want to mention Tracy said we mistakenly rope dropped and stayed for HHN. I nearly died. I could not imagine. Rope dropping the park in the morning and then staying for HHN. I'm sorry. That sounds miserable.
I'm surprised that you're alive today.
I hope you had fun.
Yeah, we hope you enjoyed it. But man, hey, bravo to y'all that do that, because
that's rough.
I mean, 4 hours at HHN, I'm kind of hurting.
I think the closest we got was flying to Hollywood and then going to HHN that same night, when that's a 3-hour difference, and we were up until what is technically like 5 a.m. here. That was probably the closest.
We were up for 26 hours that day.
That was pretty rough. But like, I slept on the plane and all that.
That's nice.
It's not my fault you can't sleep on the plane.
Anyways, you got a little nap there. I did. Let's get back into the big one area, right? We got the 2 Sprungs, and we're kind of going from the old Sprung locations with the nightmare of exiting those houses. And how could we push back? And, when you talk about pushing back into there, you get those 2 new Sprung locations, where now the conversation comes to be is, where are the entrances for those houses? And if we talk old standards, it would be Kidzone. But we're talking new standards. And we have a place called Dreamworks that's currently in production.
Dreamworks?
I'm sorry, I'm crashing. But we have Dreamworks in production. Dreamworks will be opened by HHN.
Mm-hmm. So they say.
Will we have a house entrance through that zone?
I hope so. I hope all is fine and they put house entrances in there so that we can have our old Men in Black area back, because I don't like the Men in Black entrance to go to a Sprung tent and then all that other stuff that they do. I don't like that. So,
but here's the thing: if that's the case, you have to have 2 house entrances there.
Mm-hmm. Which they already could do one in ET like they've always done, and then you just need the other one,
which you have to go through Dreamworks for.
Maybe it's fine.
I know, but the question is, and you brought it up earlier in the live stream, which I think is great, is would Dreamworks be okay with a metal polling and a picture? Here's a question. Did we have a house entrance while they had Dreamworks Destination there? In the Barney thing? Yes.
Because I think they did.
Yes. It was a weekend.
So it should be fine.
I'm gonna counterattack that. The house entrance was not there. The house entrance was in Kidzone. It was towards the front, remember? And this is what I'm bringing up with when you said, they maybe don't mind the line, but because of a picture of so-and-so also with Barney right there could be an issue. That's the same thing with the house entrance. Do you have that entrance up at the front and then it's just stanchions through, like Curious George, like, okay, whatever? Or are those house entrances put further back where they're like, no, nobody can take a picture of this bloody thing and I see Shrek right there, or I see the trolls right there. Like, that won't work out.
Maybe.
So sight lines could be an issue too. I want to know, chat, what do you guys think? Do you guys think we're going to get house entrance facade, like house entrances for the queue lines in DreamWorks? If so, do you think we're going to get one house, two houses, or zero houses for the entrances over there? So 0,
If
1,
you
2.
do think that there's going to be house entrances, do you think it's going to be 2, 1, or 0? Sorry, I just gotta pick one. Yeah, I agree. These IPs need to stop being picky. Just let them do what they want.
Those are big companies, big corporations, what they do. Go lay down. Go lay down. Back it up. Back it up. Go lay down. Go lay down.
They do have a lot of, like, unfortunately, they have a lot of legal stuff. Like,
Go lay down.
If you guys didn't know this, I actually used to do.
Rule the world.
I worked as a costume character at Universal for a little bit, and what?
I didn't know that.
Oh, shut up! This was after.
You're gonna spoil some stuff to some people here in the world.
Well,
Wait, what?
when you're certain characters,
Shark's not real.
certain characters have like certain. Like, you couldn't have, like, certain things on T-shirts. Like, guests would have certain things on T-shirts, and you'd have to, like, cover it up so that it wouldn't be in the picture. They couldn't have alcohol. Like, they would have to put their drink down somewhere else so it's not in the picture. So they are picky about those things, but it's for a good reason. They don't want that stuff, like, going out online and then everybody saying, like, oh, like, that brand is okay with that. And
I mean, you know how society is today. I could literally say hello and be branded as anything right now. So, you know, the legal teams, they have to look into all these things and take into account just to protect the brand, protect the name, protect all that stuff. So, not trying to stray away too far, but that kind of plays into the fact of, like, and that's what we talked about with Minion Land.
Mm-hmm.
You know, why do we not have a scare zone there? It could be just for the fact that they don't want to have a picture of such item coincide with one of their properties. It's just simple things like that. Could be the problem with Simpsons right now, Springfield, why we don't have a roaming chainsaw horde in there, because Disney may not want photos of Simpsons to get out in line, and then there's a chainsaw guy there. They're like, that's not them, because Disney owns that now with Fox. The Fox accusation.
Mm-hmm.
Accusation.
Accusation.
Acquisition.
Acquisition.
There we go. So
I am nervous that DreamWorks won't allow, but maybe they'll do it like around the corner.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, with the ET situation, like, that could work. I feel like we could get one there, at least.
Yeah.
But now let's talk about this. Do you want a house entrance? Because I remember I've seen all the people who has complained about the house entrance for the Sprung tent where Oddfellow was last year being around Men in Black. Do you want a house entrance for DreamWorks and then walk all the way past both parade buildings to get to the Sprung tents in the back corner? That is a way farther walk.
Oh, that's true.
So do we even want that to happen?
No. That would be.
I know. I remember all the names of everybody said, yeah. We want that. It might be that we get that, cool, but you're going to be walking a lot, so I don't want to hear you complaining about the walking. I feel like the situation where we had with The Last of Us, where that house entrance could potentially be the situation that we have for two house entrances for those two Sprung tent locations back there, where it does a Curious George lot situation where you walk in. This is for these two houses. You have to go down this path, right? It's a bigger path, and it goes all the way back there to those two houses where then you can pick and choose, and they'll have the queue lines drawn out. But then again, the exit for Oddfellow and Darkest Steel was out of that, as well as the exit for The Last of Us. So there's a lot of, that's what I'm saying. Go ahead.
It will be interesting to see what they do. Two things.
One.
Can you bring up a map so we can see it?
Of the park?
Yeah.
What kind of map are we talking
or like
about?
an aerial picture? Do they have that somewhere?
I mean, I could.
Not to put you on the spot.
I mean, you kind of did put me on the spot. I'm not gonna lie.
But if not, it's fine. But Leo said off the top without looking at a map, LOL, and I agree. it hurts my brain to think about all this without looking at like a map or a satellite view.
Okay. I can try to.
Like that.
Yeah. You know what? Let me see if I can pull up a map. Let me pull up a map. Hold up. Hey.
And then I just wanted to read 2 comments that I now lost. I agree with Erica. It's going to be a long walk back to those tents either way. We have to get back there one way or another. It's going to be a long walk either way. But I do think going in by like ET and then going all the way back there is a lot. That is a lot. And then that kind of goes into the next comment. Fred said, if I can get free CPR from a team member. I know you're searching, so you're not listening to me.
I love you, babe.
I think that's funny though.
Free CPR from a team member.
Yeah, if you have to walk all the way back there.
This might be the best possible picture to pull up,
Okay.
but it's very old. Actually, I'm not going to use this. This is extremely
Yeah, I
old.
was gonna say I don't even notice, or I can't even recognize like
Is
what's
that
going
the
on
Psycho
there.
House? Yeah, no, this is that's too old. Too old. All right, let me look for another one.
It's okay if we can't.
No, I mean,
we can't
yeah. I
find
want to see if I can. If not, then
It's hard because like,
use your imagination, folks.
can't you get to the parade buildings from animal actors?
Yeah, but they won't let you go that route. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not gonna pull up the map. Like, if I were to actually pull this up and bring it on stream, it's gonna take quite a minute.
Yeah, it's okay.
So I'm just gonna hop back in here.
I just like
Wait, hold on. Okay, go ahead. I'll let you go.
I just like, where else are there? See, it's hard because there are only so many ways to get backstage.
27 different ways to get backstage from public viewing in Universal Orlando, Universal Studios. But go ahead.
How do you know that?
Because I keep count. Anyways, let's reel this back in. Let's get a little organized with our conversation right now, folks. The reason why we have to discuss if there's actually going to be house entrances in DreamWorks is because, are we having the houses in the parade buildings? That's where those house entrances were used for. They were for the parade buildings. And say what you're going to say.
So the rumor is no,
Yes.
because of the new parade,
Yes.
which I could see, but also that the other parade building has never been used for floats. Like, that's
79.
Yeah, that's not like, they don't house floats there. People are saying they're going to use it for maintenance for the new parade. I guess I could see that. Every time I've ever been in there when it's not HHN, it's just empty.
She sneaks in.
Or every time I've seen it, it's just been empty.
She's talking
But-
about years in the past.
But yeah, they
Yeah.
could potentially use it for maintenance, I guess. And then I could see them not having room in B108. I don't know. It's a very large building though, so I could see them also having plenty of space.
I'm going to cut in, and I'm pretty much just going to give everybody the answers they need straightforward. We don't know. We're not an official source, so we don't know. This is just kind of us speculating if we were, in a sense, at the helm, in the position of making these decisions. I have a feeling that this new parade that Universal is going to do is going to be quite big. I really hope they do a nighttime parade, like the Mardi Gras parade and stuff. I would love to see a regular nighttime parade used at some capacity for Universal. I think it'd be really cool. Of course, this would be during their day, obviously during HHN. But when it's stored, I'm okay with saying goodbye to B79 to put those floats and maintenance and all that stuff. I'm fine. Because then that means we really aren't using B108 any more than we already are. If that's a potential, I would really love for them to keep B108 in position. I would even love more if those 2 sprung tents, and I know we're getting those for HHN, but those 2 sprung tents, we get one of them.
The other one is used for maintenance, storage, whatever. And then we keep B108 as a trade-off. Because I feel like you could do more with the B108 location, and that would also help the logistics of where do the lines start, where do they go. Because if you remember The Last of Us, which was B108, was next to the Coke stand by the Men in Black World Expo section. And then we had B79, which was Monsters Unmasked, which was by the ET section. If we can have that same setup, just have now the B108 be where the Monsters entrance at ET was, and then do the new Sprung tent where the Last of Us entrance was. And that'll flow just fine. It comes to the question is, are the parade buildings involved or not? And if they're not, that's where the issue of, okay, where do we have these lines go to and where do they start? We'll just put them in DreamWorks. We've had it before. Well, do we have an issue with having that stuff in DreamWorks now? Can it go through ET? Sure, it could go through ET, but how far is that walk? And if we're still doing two houses in a sense, can it just be one entrance and they could call it the back lot, whatever. I don't care. Call it the back lot. Here's the entrance to the back lot houses, like what Hollywood does. And you go through ET, you go all the way back there. And then when you get back there, it's that open section for these two houses. Mm-hmm. And you pick your line to go what you want to do. And you can knock those two houses when you're back there. And then you never have to come back in. You come back out. And then that's it. I really don't know which way they're going to go with it. I just see it being where if they use those two sprung tents for houses and they don't use the parade buildings, I can only picture the entrances for those houses to be where those houses are and that area being an open space for people to select and do like the Curious George lot in Hollywood. Knock this one out, go to this one, knock that one out, do the lines for there, and then we're out. Because in that case, there's going to be that revolving door of guests going in there, doing it all, coming out, versus just all at once, this whole wave of all these people waiting to do it. It's going to revolve pretty well, where once you do those two houses, more than likely people aren't coming back to this section. So it's only getting the people at the time that do decide to go through those two sprung tents. That's what I feel like would be the best, like most optimized route as far as the queue lines go. If we have that scenario of no parade buildings and those two sprung tents added. That's what I feel. If we have the situation of one parade building, one sprung tent, then you do last year's situation. If it's two sprung tents and one parade building, having 11 houses now, that I look as a nightmare. I don't even want to be on the team that has to decide who goes where and how. I feel like that would be a nightmare for it. Do you think, I'm going to throw this out there. Do you think we're getting 11 houses this year? Yes or no?
No.
And you're confident on that?
Yep.
I think it's 90% no, 10% potentially. But I'm leaning more on the side that I feel like the mindset's on 10 houses. I feel like there's so much things moving around that it's hard to really even think of adding an 11th one, where and all that stuff. But I do think What do you think you're doing? What do you think?
He's like, I want to talk.
Come here. Come here. What do you think? Tell everybody. Right here. What are you doing with your head? Right here. Tell them. Why won't you tell them? No, don't. No, you can't raise
He
that
turns
up.
our microphones off.
You can't do that. We're almost done. We're almost done. Just hang tight. Hang tight.
I personally
I forgot what I was saying. He distracted.
I personally think it would be a huge bummer to lose the parade buildings just because of the height that it gives the houses.
Yeah. I mean, look at the houses we had in recent years there.
I do really like some of my favorite houses have been in tents though.
Yes.
Like they can do the like claustrophobic, like tight spaces in tents so much better, but it would kind of suck to lose like the height that some of the houses can get.
I agree.
In the parade buildings.
Hold it down. Hold it down.
Yeah, Wicked Growth, Darkest Steel, Slaughter Cinema are like, those three are in like my top 5 houses of all time. And those were all in a tent. They do such a good job with fitting as much as they do into those tents.
Descendants of Destruction, did you say that?
No, I was just saying those 3 were in my top 5 ever.
Oh.
But
Well, I was just even thinking like Puppet Theater and Descendants.
I mean, yeah, those were great houses too. They're
had
not in
the-
my top 5.
Oh, I was just
but
thinking. I'm just thinking of like the scale that they were able to pull off.
Yeah.
In a tent.
Yeah, think about that scene in Puppets where it was like the theater.
Yeah.
And you had like the person up in the little booth upstairs. They are able to do a lot in those tents, but
Scarecrow. I forgot about Scarecrow. Somebody said Scarecrow. So I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, Scarecrow was a great house.
I didn't do that one.
Yeah,
But-
I wish you did. You would have loved it.
But you just don't get like Legends Collide. Like you couldn't do that in a tent. Like some of those scenes are just like, it's just not possible. Which any house that they really need the height for, they could just do in the sound stages up front. But we just then lose houses that, could really use that. But if you look at like last year, you didn't necessarily need Exorcist to be in a soundstage for the height, right? Like there wasn't really any scenes in Exorcist that needed.
No, I don't think so at all, to be honest.
So like there are some houses that, would do just as well in a tent.
Yeah. I agree. No, I agree. I think Exorcist could have been done over there. Absolutely. I would have traded that with Darkest Steel.
And even like Texas Chainsaw could have been done in a tent.
I agree. Maybe not. No, take it back.
Yeah. Why?
I mean, they did Texas Chainsaw before in a tent. I think the fact that they did it in the soundstage was to say, let's try to do it as more than we've done it before.
I mean, yeah, but there was nothing where it was like huge.
I mean, the gas station scene added a little more to it. The actual inside of the house, I think, was a little bit bigger than what it was in the tent. Just things like that where I felt like with Halloween back in 2014, cool. But then when they had it in the soundstage, they just added more space and depth to it.
Yeah.
I think that's really the only thing they have to say with that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, going back to what I was saying earlier before the pup situation, Halloween Horror Nights, I don't think we'll add a house this year. I think we're staying to 10. I think there's a story behind it. It goes with that theory that we had that I still haven't made public. I'm figuring out whether I want to do a video about it, which would be a lot of production, or we just do a live stream and discuss things with you guys and
About
kind of
what?
the theory.
Oh.
So I feel like it plays a part of it in a way. It could be a sneaky way to be, dealing with 10 houses. I feel like, though, excuse me. Oh my gosh, my allergies. If we didn't have these construction updates and the logistic nightmare we have with things moving around, if it was completed, fully and set, I think Halloween Horror Nights could house up to 12 houses in its current state. Maybe even more. That's my personal thought. Because if you think about it, we got the 2 new sprung tents. Let's say we kept the parade buildings. That's now 12. And if we could bring Men in Black tent, that's 13. Just off of that. So I feel like there's ways to add more houses because we've had past locations as houses, parade buildings being 2 of them, Men in Black being another one. There's 3 other locations that are not in the mix right now as the conversation goes with the rumors. They're not currently in the mix right now, but those were houses. So if we can use them, why not use them again? So I feel like there's potential for future expansions as houses go for Horror Nights. I just right now currently think we're sticking to 10. So reason being is that's where it's like, okay, if we're losing the 2 parade buildings, then we're getting the 2 sprung tents. If we're getting the 2 sprung tents, more than likely it means we're losing the parade buildings right now. Mm-hmm. And I feel like Universal as a whole, as much as they love HHN, we love HHN, I feel like there's so much happening for the company as a whole. Like theming wise, the face of the company. I feel like there's so much happening right now. There's so many big chess pieces in play that yes, HHN's important to them, but things like this, they're focused more on other things where they're like we need those parade buildings for this new parade. We need it. We're doing the sprung tents. That'll be fine. We'll work with it. And the HHN team will do great to make it work. We have 2 already in existence. They'll figure out the way the lines work. But, we have Epic Universe on the way. We have the Vegas location on the way. We have the Texas location on the way. There's talks about the UK as well currently in the mix. There's just so much for the company as a whole that's currently going on and a lot of positive things that I feel like these conversations are so little to them. Like, I think it's so little to them.
I agree.
I don't think they'll ever say, we'll just do 9 houses, so what? I don't think that's the case. I don't think they'll ever want to take away experiences from their guest. So I think we're staying at 10. But as far as adding up, like, if I was in their case, I'd be like, you know what? We need those parade buildings. We have a new parade coming in. We want to focus on that. We got to bring people in for the day. We have Epic Universe opening. We got to prepare for that. That is where the focus is in versus Horror Nights, which is going to constantly bring people in year after year, no matter what, no matter how the logistics or layout is. Yeah. I just, I really like to have these conversations as far as the layout and the logistics with you guys, because when we started talking about Horror Nights back for HHN 30, that was our first year doing the channel with all of you. That setup for that event is very different than what it is for this year's event. Mm-hmm. And so these conversations I like to have because it keeps our mind open to what things were in the past, what things are currently, and what does it look like to be for the future for the event as a whole. So I realized we didn't even talk about all the things that we had, like Simpsons Land. We didn't even really talk about that. But maybe we'll just wait for another day.
I don't really even know what's going on there.
We'll just wait for another day. We'll say that. So I wish I could have pulled up a picture of the entire, like an aerial view. Maybe, I don't know. Me and Steph will talk about when our next live stream will be. Maybe we'll, in that live stream, just discuss it just a little bit, because our next videos that we have, I'm going to put this out there for y'all. The next videos that we have is changes that we want to see coming to Halloween Horror Nights. I know we talked about the 5 like logistics and layouts of the event, those 5 main topics, but this one is more of just changes we want in general. Things we want to see, kind of the stuff we want to see from past years evolve to this year, things we've had in past years come back, or things we've never seen that we would love to have come to the event that we think would be great ideas to help, whether it's as far as food, merch, houses, even the layout of things. Not more so like, oh, what properties do you want to see?
Yeah, not houses specifically.
Yeah, just more of like the locations and things like that, just to make
more
the operation
like high
smoother.
level changes.
Yeah. So that'll be a video that we're going to be diving into. And then I have another one that I forgot. Holy smokes. There are 2 videos that we have that we're going to try to make for you guys pretty soon. The changes that we want to see, that one's going to be the next one on the list. Should be happening very soon. We're going to try filming. Oh, shoot. Today's Tuesday. Maybe Thursday, because tomorrow we're pretty busy. Mm-hmm. Plus, we can fit it in the evening. We'll see.
We can talk about this.
We'll talk about it off. Yeah, we'll talk about it off camera. So, we have that. And then as far as a live stream, the next live stream, we'll try to shoot for Tuesday, but don't take me for that, because we'll discuss it off camera.
Yes.
Me and Steph will figure it out. And we'll let you guys know. We'll do a public statement letting you guys know when that next live stream is.
It'll either be next Tuesday or the Tuesday after that.
Exactly. Those will probably be the situations. Or maybe we do a surprise Friday live stream. Don't know. So those are the current ones in focus. And I don't know. Maybe we'll see. Because if you guys remember at the start of the live stream, we also talked about we should be getting something official pretty soon. If you guys looked at the patterns from past years and stuff, this is kind of the time frame when we get an announcement from Horror Nights, whether that's a house announcement, the dates and tickets and things like that. This is kind of that time period where, we're on our toes, we're waiting for something like that to happen. And that's just that time frame. March, April, then May, we usually sometimes get a house announcement. May, June, July, and we're rocking and rolling by then.
Javier said next week.
Next week? Actually, can we, chat right now, I want you guys to put in the chat, when do you guys think we're going to be getting that first official announcement from Horror Nights?
I know I saw somebody way back, I think in the beginning of the stream, said Thursday,
in 2 days.
This Thursday, yeah.
In a day and a half.
I don't know.
I've seen some people say Thursday. So let's see, what days do we got?
Next week, Thursday.
See, hey, George, hey.
March 27th.
Jorge said last 2 years, HHN Insta posted March 23rd. Which, it's in a few days.
Oh yeah, we're going to see Frozen Empire on Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday we'll be seeing Ghostbusters. So Can we get some that day? People are saying March 27th. I see a couple of 27ths. It's exciting to know that that announcement's lurking. And more than likely, we said this last year, we said it the year before, the first like official announcement is usually like the dates. Usually the tickets coincide with dates.
Sometimes,
but sometimes
not
it's
all of
yeah,
them.
not all the time. Sometimes it's just the dates. So more than likely, I'm pretty confident that if we do get an announcement, it's probably going to be the dates at least. Here's the dates and stuff. Recent years, it's the tickets paired with it and stuff. Maybe do we get a house? Do we get like an announcement, like a something?
It's like
and then pair that stuff with it.
Like Erica said, one of the movie theaters accidentally leaks Ghostbusters, like they did with Black Phone.
The Black Phone one.
Free
Yeah.
tickets to Halloween Horror Nights. What? Why would they do that?
Why did you say that there? Yeah, I mean potential, but yeah, I mean, hey, we'll see.
Oh, do we think we'll get a mysterious video this year, like we did with the podcaster last year getting possessed?
Man, I really wish we did our theory video for you guys. Oh,
Still time.
it's just a lot of production work. And what time? I just got off of work, came here at work. By the time I look at the time, oh my gosh, do we go to bed for tomorrow work? We'll see. We might plan to do. I may decide. I may take the bull and just say, hey, let's just do a live stream based on that theory. Talk to you guys about it, see what you guys think, and then we can just have fun together doing that. Versus, I don't know. We'll see. But that's a good question. Yeah. Do you think we'll get some more HHN lore videos, or do you think we're gonna just have like? Do you think this year's HHN is gonna be tied to the lore, or do you think this is just gonna be a free run of the event?
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's
I
so
like
exciting to think about.
that. Right? Yeah. What do you guys think? I want to know. Type in the chat. Let me know. Do you guys think this year's HHN is gonna have a close tie-in with the lore of the event, or do you think we're just gonna kind of get a typical traditional, just like a HHN year, where you got IPs
Just like
and
random,
originals? Yeah, and it's
not
just
like a
just
theme.
HHN. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Do people think that Oddfellow's coming back from what he said in the last night? Do we think we're having a clash of icons? Does Boris Schuster return? Does Hondo make an appearance in tonight's live stream for the second time? That's your cue. That was your cue.
Come on.
Come over here. That was your cue.
I got so excited.
Come here. That was your cue. Come here. That was it. Yeah. High five right here.
Someone said lady luck.
Hey, sit. You, pay attention. Thank you. That's a good high five. You dropped my water bottle.
Good job, buddy.
All right, that tail is vicious. All right. Yeah, I see some people asking for Boris Schuster. I know people want Boris Schuster. Tracy said no to Oddfellow. Hot take, but I'm not against that. I feel like the announcement season is one of the most important seasons for Horror Nights to build that community into the event. I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah.
But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's going to do it for us in tonight's live stream. If you're just joining us, welcome to the end. You might want to replay it or start another day because this is it. Hondo is calling it. He's saying it is time. Time to take me out. I have to go to the bathroom again for the 30th time today. Look at that. Look at that dog. Look at that dog. Look at that doggy. Oh, we love this doggy. We love this doggy, don't we? Yeah, you are a good doggy. But anyways, that's going to do it for us in tonight's live stream. Talking about the logistics and layouts from that one video that we did a week or two ago. We were supposed to do last week, but then we got blessed with the speculation map. Stay tuned. We'll give you guys an update when that next live stream will be, whether it's next Tuesday or the following Tuesday or even a surprise Friday in between, just depending on how things are going. But we're going to be trying to do a couple of videos for you guys pretty soon. We definitely, like we said, the changes we want, all that stuff. And then, of course, like you all know, we have the official Fright Club shop. Merch is out. If you guys want to check it out, the first batch, that is currently going on. We do have some other ones in the works currently. So
it might be a while, though, so don't hold out.
No, but we have some other ones that are going to be in the works to release in the future. We have discussed on that. 2 new posters, all that kind of stuff. Check it out. And then,
Also, happy birthday, Nikki. She said it's her birthday today.
oh, happy birthday, Nikki. Appreciate that.
Thanks for spending your birthday
Yeah,
with
hey,
us.
I was gonna say, we like, I don't know, I'm excited, but also like feel sad because I'm like, oh no, you had to stay here and listen to us. I'm sorry. Happy birthday.
She have to.
No, you're
we
good.
didn't
Yeah.
force her.
Maybe Hondo did. We don't know. But happy birthday, Nikki, by the way. Hope you enjoyed it today. But yeah, that's gonna be it for us. My nose is clogged up. My legs hurt. I'm tired.
Hondo
Hondo's
is really
stinky. Stinky. You're so stinky. So stinky cute.
all right.
But yeah, we're gonna wrap it up. Thank you to all for you guys for joining us in tonight's live. If you guys haven't joined the Discord and want to, check it out. Steph's got the link for it in the description down below. Follow us on Instagram and stay tuned for future HHN updates and potentially an official announcement around the corner.
Soon.
Dude, get your butt off of me. It stinks.
I want you to
Golly.
scratch it.
With that being said, that's going to be it for us in tonight's live stream. We hope you guys have a great Tuesday evening. And until the next video, we look forward to seeing you guys there. And like always, catch you guys in the fog. Peace out, everybody.
Bye.
Oh, say bye, Hondo.
Say bye, Hondo.
Say bye here.
Come here.
Just choose one. All right, that's good enough. He's gonna. No, the couch. No. All right, let's go outside. Go ahead. All right, good night, everyone.